Hey NFL fans, before we dive into today's hottest stories, make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you never miss an update. From NFL News Now, the Dallas Cowboys are making waves this week with multiple injury updates ahead of their Week 16 matchup against the Los Angeles Chargers, but as always with the NFL, there's more beneath the surface than meets the eye. With just 3 weeks remaining in the 2025 regular season, every transaction, every practice designation, and every roster move carries weight, and the Cowboys are no exception. On Wednesday, the team announced that they were opening the practice windows for 3 key players: cornerback Josh Butler, 7th-round rookie running back Phil Maffa, and defensive end Peyton Turner. On the surface, this seems like the type of news that immediately excites fans, but digging deeper, it's clear that these moves are as much about strategy and preparation as they are about immediate game day availability. The NFL's rules allow players to return to practice while remaining on injured reserve through a 21-day practice window, a period that gives players the opportunity to regain conditioning, work through nagging injuries, and demonstrate readiness to the coaching staff. However, and this is critical to understand, opening these windows does not automatically mean that any of these players will suit up in the remaining games of the season. The Cowboys, in fact, can only designate to players to return from injured reserve before the season ends, with 3 players currently entering these practice windows. The math is clear: only they can potentially make the jump back to the 53-man roster. This, naturally, adds a layer of intrigue and uncertainty around the entire announcement. Head coach Brian Schottenheimer addressed this nuance directly on Wednesday, framing the move less as a roster shakeup and more as an opportunity for the players to get back on the field in a meaningful way. Just a chance to get them on the grass and see these guys compete a little bit, Schottenheimer said. Wearing pads today, which should be great. I know those guys are really excited to get back out there and play the game that they love. Schottenheimer's comments highlight the dual purpose of such moves in the NFL. While fans immediately think of who will play on Sunday, coaches are often thinking weeks ahead, balancing player development, conditioning, and long-term roster management. For Josh Butler, this is an opportunity to showcase his skills in live drills, reconnect with the team's defensive schemes, and potentially position himself for a roster return if the team decides to activate him. Butler, who has spent a significant portion of the season on injured reserve, has the talent and experience to make an immediate impact. But the Cowboys are approaching this decision with patience, understanding that the end of the regular season is only a few weeks away. Peyton Turner, the team's defensive end, faces a similar situation. Known for his explosive pass rushing ability, Turner has been sidelined with injury, but the opportunity to return to practice allows him to test his body, refine his techniques, and build chemistry with the defensive line. For Turner, this isn't just about being game ready, it's about preserving his long-term health and ensuring that if he returns to the field, he can make a sustained impact rather than risking further injury in a rushed comeback. The player drawing perhaps the most attention from fans, however, is rookie running back Phil Maffa. The 7th-round pick out of Clemson has been on injured reserve for the majority of the season, stashed as a potential future contributor. While the Cowboys leaned on veterans in the backfield, Maffa impressed during preseason, showcasing a combination of vision, speed, and toughness that suggested he could be a dynamic change-of-pace option, or even a contributor in goal-line situations. With Javonte Williams dealing with injuries and listed on the team's latest injury report, combined with fullback Hunter Luepke missing practice due to a concussion, the window for Maffa to see action is intriguing. If the Cowboys decide to activate Maffa, it would signal not only confidence in his abilities, but also a potential vote of no confidence in Jaden Blue, the 5th-round rookie who has remained a healthy scratch for most of the season. Blue has been largely underutilized, and the return of Maffa could intensify questions about the team's backfield depth chart and how the coaching staff evaluates talent. That said, for now, Maffa, Butler, and Turner returning to practice is more about preparation than immediate impact. It's about regaining the feel of live reps, building confidence, and letting the coaching staff observe them in a structured, competitive environment. The 21-day practice window aligns perfectly with the remaining 3 weeks of the regular season, giving the Cowboys maximum flexibility without committing to activating all 3 players. This is a subtle but important point. The timing of these windows allows the team to balance short-term needs with long-term planning. Saturday will serve as a critical deadline, as the Cowboys must decide whether to activate any of these players for Sunday's game against the Chargers. That decision will weigh numerous factors, including game plan requirements, player health, and roster limitations. It's a situation that underscores the complexity of NFL roster management, where every move has cascading effects. Fans, naturally, are eager to see immediate returns, highlight plays, explosive runs, game-changing defensive stops, but coaches must weigh the long-term implications. Will Butler's presence in practice translate to a meaningful role in the next game? Can Turner return to disrupt opposing offensive lines? Or will the Cowboys exercise patience to preserve his health? And perhaps most importantly, will Maffa finally get his opportunity to shine after months on the sidelines? The answers to these questions will only become clear as the weekend approaches. But the story itself is a testament to the layered decision-making that goes into NFL rosters. Injuries, while unfortunate, provide opportunities for players to step up, for coaches to test depth, and for fans to speculate endlessly about what might come next. In many ways, these practice window designations are a microcosm of the NFL's strategic chess game, balancing immediate needs with long-term goals, all under the pressure of a ticking clock and a passionate fan base eager for results. The Cowboys' approach to this situation, led by Schottenheimer, reflects a careful calibration of risk and reward, giving players like Maffa, Butler, and Turner the chance to prove themselves without forcing a rushed return that could jeopardize their careers or the team's future as the league hurdles toward the final weeks of the regular season. Every practice rep, every snap, and every roster decision takes on outsized importance. For Dallas, these moves signal both hope and caution: hope that returning players can contribute meaningfully, and caution that the team must navigate the remaining games with both strategy and prudence. While fans will naturally focus on the potential for these players to suit up against the Chargers, the underlying story is about preparation, opportunity, and the careful orchestration of player development within the high-stakes environment of the NFL. Ultimately, whether any of these three players will see game action remains uncertain. But one thing is clear: the Dallas Cowboys are thinking ahead, managing resources wisely, and keeping fans guessing until the final whistle. The narrative surrounding Butler, Maffa, and Turner is emblematic of the NFL's broader dynamics, where practice windows, injured reserve designations, and roster decisions intertwine to shape the outcomes of games, seasons, and careers. For now, the spotlight remains on practice fields, padded drills, and the anticipation of what could come, reminding everyone that in football, as in life, preparation often precedes opportunity, and patience can be just as important as talent. Keep watching as we analyze more details about some rumors. The sports world woke up buzzing with whispers, raised eyebrows, and that familiar feeling that something behind the curtain had shifted again, because a controversial decision coming out of the league offices ended up favoring the Dallas Cowboys and immediately ignited a chain reaction across the entire NFL landscape. This is not being treated as an official scandal, not yet at least. But the way the situation unfolded has all the ingredients of one of those stories that fans love to debate late into the night. The kind that makes you pause a video just to argue in the comments. Around the league, executives, former players, analysts, and even referees speaking anonymously began connecting dots, suggesting that what happened goes far beyond a simple interpretation of the rulebook and enters the gray area where power, popularity, and business interests quietly intersect. From the outside, the decision was framed as a standard procedural clarification, the sort of bureaucratic language that usually flies under the radar. But anyone who has followed the NFL closely knows that when the Cowboys are involved, nothing is ever just routine. Dallas carries a gravitational pull within the league, a franchise that moves ratings, sells merchandise, and dominates conversations whether it is winning or losing. The rumor circulating is that a recent internal ruling regarding officiating interpretation and competitive balance landed in a way that conveniently aligned with Dallas interests, shifting momentum and perception at a critical moment of the season. Even without the scoreboard being mentioned directly, that alone was enough to make rival fanbases uneasy and league insiders start whispering. What really fueled the speculation was the speed of the league's response once the backlash began. Within hours, league representatives reportedly reached out to multiple teams, attempting to cool tensions and reinforce the narrative that the decision was made strictly within the framework of existing rules. Yet sources suggest that this unusually fast reaction was less about transparency and more about damage control when the NFL moves quickly. It often signals that the leadership understands how fragile public trust can be, especially when accusations of favoritism start trending across social platforms, and sports talk shows begin crafting entire segments around the phrase benefiting the Cowboys. In locker rooms across the league, players were said to be openly discussing the situation, questioning consistency and fairness. The underlying frustration is not necessarily about Dallas itself, but about the perception that certain franchises operate with an invisible safety net. Veterans who have seen countless seasons come and go reportedly feel that these moments reinforce a long-standing belief that the league protects its most valuable brands, sometimes subtly, sometimes clumsily. Coaches, meanwhile, are left trying to explain to their players how the same rule can feel rigid one week and flexible the next, depending on context and spotlight. The Cowboys organization, for its part, has maintained a carefully measured silence, no bold statements, no triumphant tone, just the calm posture of a franchise accustomed to being at the center of controversy. Insiders believe this silence is strategic, allowing the storm to pass while avoiding any comments that could be interpreted as gloating or admission. At the same time, fans of the team have embraced the chaos, with many arguing that Dallas is simply being targeted because of its popularity, and that any decision in their favor automatically becomes a conspiracy in the eyes of critics. League officials, however, did not stay completely quiet. In carefully worded remarks, they emphasized the integrity of the competition and reiterated their commitment to fairness, but the language felt rehearsed, almost defensive, and that only added fuel to the rumor mill. When statements focus more on protecting the shield than explaining the logic in plain terms, skepticism grows. Former officials appearing on broadcasts hinted that the decision may have been technically correct while still being tone-deaf, a combination that often leads to outrage even when rules are followed to the letter. What makes this situation especially intriguing is how it fits into a broader pattern that fans believe they have seen before. Over the years, moments involving Dallas have often sparked debates about officiating trends, scheduling advantages, and media narratives. Whether those beliefs are grounded in fact or shaped by emotion is still up for debate. But perception matters in a league driven by storytelling. When enough people believe something feels off, the league is forced to respond, regardless of intent, behind closed doors. There is talk that this episode could influence future internal reviews, with some teams pushing for clearer guidelines and more consistent enforcement. Others fear that raising too much noise could backfire, painting them as complainers rather than competitors. It is a delicate balance, one where speaking out risks fines or strained relationships, but staying quiet allows resentment to fester. For fans watching from home, this rumor taps into the very heart of why the NFL is so captivating and so controversial. It is not just about plays on the field, but about power dynamics, billion-dollar interests, and the constant tug-of-war between sport and spectacle. The idea that a single decision, quietly made, could tilt perception in favor of a franchise as massive as the Cowboys is enough to keep debates alive for weeks, if not longer, as the dust slowly settles. One thing is clear: even without an official admission or a dramatic reversal, the conversation is not going away. The league may move on to the next headline, but fans and insiders will remember this moment as another chapter in the long, complicated relationship between the NFL and its most polarizing team. Whether this decision truly favored Dallas or simply exposed deeper insecurities within the league, it has already accomplished one thing: reminding everyone that in professional football, the loudest stories are often born not from what is proven, but from what people believe might be happening just out of sight. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like this video and share it with your fellow NFL fans. Stay tuned for more updates, only here on NFL News Now.